Hello, and thanks for coming back. Here we are making a pirate model. Same kind of thing as last time, making it with an aluminium wire skeleton, armature. This time bulking it out with a lot of aluminium foil and sticking it with some tape. So this time I'm using sculpey. Not super sculpey, but sculpey, because I ordered it by mistake. Didn't realise there were two different types, and I got this one. It's nice and cheap anyway. If you want to give it a try, it works. We're using a bit of clay adhesive there that's supposed to squirt out of a bottle, but I discovered that it had been in the bottle for such a long time that the nozzle had just dried up. So I'm using the tool to scrape it out. So straight into the modelling. Look at that, we're onto the legs already. I had a kind of idea on the style of this pirate. Not sure it's technically, historically accurate, because I did draw him with some sort of Converse style deck shoes, which is probably not what the sort of thing that they would have been wearing hundreds of years ago. So, you know, you got to just go with it. And here I am putting some lace holes in there. I realised later on that I didn't have enough holes in there, and I had to add another one. Now these are his socks, which I'm very carefully blending in, and you will notice later on that I added a bit more detail to these socks and had them rolled over. Here I am adding those teeny tiny shoelaces, and there I am adding that extra eyelet for the actual bow. Look at that, lovely. I want him to have sort of 3/4 length bell-bottom style shorts, and this is really a quick way of doing it, and it's really nice and easy. I also felt like he didn't have much of a knee, so we've added another little blob on there. Adding some wrinkles to those trousers. Life at sea, haven't got time for ironing. More wrinkles. Oh, and there we have it. A second leg just appeared from nowhere by the magic of editing. I guess you don't need to see that all over again. Does look a lot neater on that last leg though. Here we are, I've just put a bit of texture on there and on the socks, you can see, and I decided it needed a little bit more of a bottom. Adding the top of his trousers with just one big band of clay, keeping the top half but blending the bottom half in. And the front fly as well. If you're wondering, it's not your eyes, it's my camera attempting to focus on what's going on. So apologise for that. Out of the many hours worth of footage, there's quite a lot missing for that reason. Now here's the bottom of his waistcoat. So same as the trousers, but blending in the top half. A bit more detail going on. Yeah, I should have poked a hole for the head a little bit earlier on before I started working up there, because it took me a real lot of effort to get that pole in. But it's done, it's all good. More waistcoat going on. So rather than doing an entire waistcoat, I'm just doing the edges, just like we did with the trousers. And more buttons and a bit of detail, and some pockets. This is brushing it down with the isopropyl alcohol, which gets rid of some of the tooling marks and gets rid of the fingerprints. I have no idea what I'm doing there. Oh yes, I'm adding a bit of texture to the shirt as well, a bit of cross hatching. A bit more adhesive before I stick on the arms. If it's looking like he's got really long arms and quite short legs, I can assure you it has nothing to do with the camera angle, and it's all to do with the fact that I can never get my proportions right. Happened on the last one as well, so another thing to work on. Tops of his sleeves. A little bit more muscle definition in this guy as well, rather than the scientist that I did last time. Now, believe it or not, I was working to a drawing that I'd done. Yet somehow, once I'd done the head, I realised that he had a striking resemblance to the Mad Professor that I'd done last time. So again, another thing to work on is being a little bit more original with my designs. Big crazy grin again. And marking the teeth out. After that, I'm going with the other end of my spoon tool to shape them out a little bit more so they're not too square. A far from perfect set of teeth, but you know, he's a pirate, so dentists weren't very easy to come by around then. Adding some cheekbones, and obviously his lips are there. And some more blurry footage. And there he is. He's kind of missing a nose, I suppose. Yeah, his nose magically appeared. If you think that's blurry, you should have seen the footage of me actually attaching it. Nowhere to be seen. Adding some detail for his beard line and his skin pores, and of course some eyebrows. And there he is. I'll put a link to my Mad Scientist video and you'll be able to compare the two faces and you'll see what I mean. I'm making his left hand out of cosclay rather than sculpey because cosclay stays quite flexible, and with him having long fingers, particularly the way I'm posing his hand, I didn't want them to snap off while I was working on him, me being clumsy and all. He's just got one pointing finger. Adding some knuckles, make it a little bit more realistic, and some wrinkles, of course. And a thumb. And the other hand is just made out of regular sculpey because he's holding his knife. Last minute addition of a bandana and a bit more detail on the back of his waistcoat there. Once he's been baked, because I think this was the first time I'd actually put him in the oven, so all in one go, went on with some paint. Now I wanted him to have a bit of a suntan, and I realised once I got going that it's quite dark, but that's for a base coat because I can go over again with the next coat to add a little bit of variation. Nice blue waistcoat. Oh, there we go. Lightening him up a little bit. It does look like he's got a bit of a skin disorder. A little bit heavy with the dry brushing there, I'm afraid. So keep working at it and it'll even up a little bit. And this was my first mistake. I masked it all off so that I didn't get any brown paint on his trousers and his waistcoat, and then I realised that that wasn't supposed to be his skin, that's supposed to be in his white shirt. But it's done now, so you know, he's got a bit of belly on show. And we get to the scary bits, where it's all a little bit too close up and small for my old eyes. All in all, not too bad. Bit more dry brushing on the waistcoat, just to bring in a little bit more detail. Some metallic bronze on the buttons. Scary, scary. Little catch light. That's just using the end of the ball stylus rather than a paintbrush. Done. Now I'm going over here with a watered down dark brown paint to get into all the little nooks and crannies and bring out some of that detailing of his beard and skin pores. Put it on, wipe it off before it gets dry. UV resin, blast it with some UV light. And then another thing that I decided to add, a little bit of bent wire and some super glue. And give him a nice pirate earring. And not stick my finger to it. Finish off with a couple of coats of gold metallic paint. And it's done. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to see me stumbling my way through another one, maybe give it a subscribe. Thanks a lot.